says it's being live streamed. Okay.
Yeah, good job. So yeah.
So it says it's setting up, and hopefully it'll go right into it. So it's just a waiting game now.
All right. And just send me the link.
We are live. We are live now.
Fantastic. And your picture looks great. Send me the link and I'll go ahead and share that.
Yeah. Yeah, 1 second. Can I just send it in the chat? Do you know how to use the Zoom chat?
Yeah, send it. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll just turn the chat on.
Excellent. Well, hello everyone. We are live, and I think we're all being heard.
This is great.
We are live and we are being heard. This is excellent.
Excellent. So I'll share it with the certain constituents.
So this is our first live broadcast, our second attempt at it. So we're live now. Everything's good. We can hear both Tom and myself. We got the video rolling. We got a lot to talk about today too. So we are getting to it. We're just getting all of the
little housekeeping details done. Yeah, very, very cool. Copy and post. All right, so let's get it out there. Nope, not now. All right, I'll do this real quick, and then we are rolling. Profiles. All right, next one. There you are. Okay. Pop, pop. Go. Not now. Good. Next. Final.
So Tom had sent me a lot of material, and we're going to dissect it page by page. We're not going to get to everything, I don't think, today, but we're going to do our best to get through as much as we can in short bursts of segments and everything. And the goal of that is to also have content for the reels, because that's been where a lot of our new viewers and subscribers have been coming from. And it's a great way for people to get introduced to Tom's story, especially if they are hearing it for the first time.
Perfect.
It's great to have these clips going out on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm back.
Excellent. So how's everything going? I guess for this week, how did everything turn out?
Excellent. It feels so good to be busy again in a really good and focused way, knowing that it's going to bear fruit and it's going to a smart person who can digest it and play that ball through. So this is very, very good. Very good. Like you had said, it'd be a huge relief. It is. So I'm very excited about everything going on and the discoveries that are being made. And it's great. Really, really good.
Yeah, it's been kind of like a constant revelation of things with your work, with your predictions on some things, even with like global news. It's like you hit the nail on the head with one. I made a note of something. Remember how you had said before that the presidential elections might be postponed.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Z across the sea has declared that they will not have an election until the WAR is over.
Wow.
So you had mentioned it, I think, on June 23rd of last year. And it came around within the past month or so, where he publicly is like, yes, we normally do this during peacetime, so that's the way we're going to go about it. So he's just going to skip over the election, which is kind of wild.
Yeah, the other side, when they were grooming, like CIA, FBI, got the card from the FBI, please extend every courtesy, all that stuff. They kept saying, you have high analytical abilities. We need you to, be the writer, analyst, that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to be able to use it for the other side, the good side, the qualities that they wanted to use for themselves, such as the Ralph Reed situation, face the Christian Coalition, and then they have that cover where he's the hand of God, which I just blown away that they actually post him as the hand of God in Newsweek's article at the time. So that's just way over the board. Should be very telling. But yeah, so another thing too with Ukraine, I was like trying to point out about Ukraine forever, and now people are finally, they're definitely, I'm sure a lot of people were catching on before that weren't heard, and finally it's coming out now and clearly coming out about the whole Ukraine fiasco and how those people are being exploited and used. And it was a whole monster tale, again, using the Russians as the bad guys, making up whatever they want, as they had used Cuba in Kennedy's years, when they were trying to institute Operation Northwoods. So it's like the CIA has been calling out the baddies when they're the baddies. So this country owes a huge apology. It owes a huge apology to so many other countries that we've done false flags with, and we've brought down their civilian population, killed their children, babies, everything, elderly, over greed. And I saw an interesting statement, Stephen, where this article or this documentary was talking about the fact that fascism is actually defined by Mussolini or something, as when the state mixes with corporations for power, shared power equally. So it's when the state and the corporations blend, you have fascism. And I'm like, wow. Then I've been trying to say it. People keep saying like we're trying to fight off communism, and communism is the big problem. No, fascism is the big problem, because we are a fascist state, and we actually took over Germany, made them a second to us, and basically employed all their people, and even the rocket programs and the bureaucratic industry. Even Robertson had all these ex-Nazis, some didn't have the green card, and that's what became the U.S. They perfected the Nazi system. That should give chills, blended with Stalinistic tactics, using the psych industry as their, with the SWAT teams under the Congress. And the Congress, what they do is lobbyists and congressmen, their revolving door, back and forth they go, benefit. We do not have a democracy. We no longer even have a republic. We have a corporate run fascist state. So,
yeah, for those that don't believe that we are, I mean, just look at everything. You need to use critical thinking skills as an individual to really see how all of this is playing out. And if you're not really paying attention to that, then you're missing a lot of stuff, in so many words.
But here's a clue too, Stephen. Who is the number one enemy of a fascist state? Who did Hitler go after? Who did Stalin purge when who did he assassinate when he went into Poland? The Polish elite, the people who were intellectuals, professors, people who were visionaries, people who were authors of books with different ideas. They're the ones that are taken out, first and foremost, really. And then you have your other parts of the population. But that's a fascist state. So what's happening? What's the agencies doing here? Taking out visionaries, taking out authors, taking their material, giving it to failed writers so they can control it in-house and profit off it in-house. And that's exactly what's happened in this US. If you want proof of fascism, look at what they're doing to your intellectuals. And the mainstream media saddled with it. We have a state-run media.
Well, there were all of these doctors that were going against the lockdowns, and a handful of them died.
Yes.
Like mysteriously, like they got in a car accident, or they had a health issue, or they just were found dead in their apartment, like something like. I have a lot of those articles saved because like it was kind of weird that even that was happening. But I mean, I'm not surprised anymore.
Well, that's
especially
the thing
with
too.
Everything.
Yeah, I go with you on that, because it's like the dying by hanging by a doorknob. People, if someone's going to commit suicide, right? And why would somebody commit suicide if they're ready to disclose information that doesn't benefit the agencies, revealing the agencies? Why would they suddenly just commit suicide? Gray State, his family, even his dog shot. But why doorknob hanging? If you were to take your life, imagine tying something to a doorknob and hanging out. You're in contact with the ground. Yeah. So your natural instincts would kick in where you wouldn't be able to complete that. It's like trying to drown yourself in a pool. It's difficult. It'd be difficult. So I'm saying doorknob hanging, What a slap in the face. It goes back to Lauren Holmberg, from CIA operative. He claims exports and imports in Africa, wants to release these journals and memoirs in the future after it's beneficial to do that, after doing all this corruption in the CIA. The mentor for me on Maui in the Masons, Lauren Holmberg, artist, everything else, operative, who was to handle me. And saying that 9/11, when he was courting me, saying, like, fascinated by your story, 9/11, we can't believe the public actually believes the pancake theory, mocking the public for believing it. And saying that, yes, they did that. It's common knowledge throughout the ranks that they did it. And it was to get a false flag war. So what you have is they needed so many people killed to have it happen. So they told people to go back up the steps at the towers. Go back up to your offices. Why? Why? Something just huge happened. A plane hit a building and people are trying to flee for their lives. Go back up. We don't have enough on the death toll yet to get enough to justify a war where we can get our oil, and the corporations mixed with the state, which is fascism, can cash in with the plans we have. And it was Bush's brother who did the security thing that was cleansed the week before. And it was the Jewish guy who had the insurance policy put out for terrorism just a month before on a failed buildings that wouldn't be worth it, that had infrastructure that couldn't do pancake. That's why Lauren Holmberg and the other CIA operatives that mixed in my circle were saying, can't believe the public believes the pancake theory. They've been tested on planes. They're mocking the public for believing it. And then the public ends up wearing masks. What does a mask do for your health or protecting you from any disease? What does that do? And what about the breathing carbon dioxide and breathing it in all the time? And
there's so many negative effects to that.
So they're showing that they're trying to prove the public is dumb. And that's exactly what's going on. Kudos to those that stood up and didn't get what they were told to do. And if they didn't, it was misinformation, and they were hurting others. And thank God some of us have pure blood still. And I don't mean according to a race. I mean according to chemistry. So
yes, we're not poisoned.
Right.
By what they're trying to do with all that.
Yeah. So anyway, back to what you're talking about.
Yeah. I was going to mention one of those mysterious deaths were Isaiah Cappy. Isaiah Cappy. And he jumped off of a bridge. That was the story in the news. But then Tom Hanks on Twitter said, go to so-and-so bridge, there's roadkill. So why would he say that?
Right.
If he wasn't involved? And why would anybody joke about suicide like that?
They do on the inside all the time, don't they? And Tom Hanks is a main player along with Mel Gibson. Isn't it interesting that Mel Gibson is releasing the same time, like I think you said it, which is the same time as this Cry for Freedom. They're trying to capitalize off of what Robertson did too. There's a void now. Timing to do it, perfect timing at the same time, capitalizing off the Christian market. And they want to make sure that they look like the good guys. This bankrupt studio, Angel Studios, everything else. You've got this whole thing where Mel Gibson was employed by Joel Silver and Warner Brothers to rip off the work in the beginning. So, and in it was this whole thing of Message of Christ, which they mock being in there, yet Mel Gibson is benefiting off of the Message of Christ in his productions now, coinciding with the release to get rich off of this stuff, pretending to be the caring guy. They are not telling the narrative. They're cleansing it out for the agencies and benefiting. So how dare they? But yeah, that's what's going on. It's time and that's why they're going to block stuff. They don't want the truth coming out about whose side they're really on, and that they're trying to profit off of it. And that is in the original work, the original screenplay with the Dooley character, which I found that stuff, incidentally, Stephen, the entries from Black Sales. Black Sales on Amazon. You have the pages of the work now. In it, you have Berenger as Agent Smith, right? Berenger. Mm-hmm. You have Boyd, the submitting attorney of the work, submitting attorney, where he has, I think you've seen the submission letter from June 25th, 1993, where the Wachowskis say we submitted sometime in 93 after changing their testimony, backing it before the marriage, before it was after the marriage, before the marriage, and then sometime in 93. Sworn testimony changed over and over to try to beat the author's actual submission date, June 25th, 93. So what you have is Berenger, Smith agent, Boyd, submitting attorney, and Dooley, the character they stripped out, represented Robertson. They didn't want that in the Matrix. They stripped that out because it's about Neo as a lower echelon CIA operative, Jim Reese. So you have Boyd, Behringer, and Dooley all entered, not historic figures, entered into black sails. And I have the screenshots of each of them. You also have the idea of the heart giving out. It says his heart gave out when they murdered the guy. That is Hollywood code for you've been murdered. George Michael, his heart gave out on Christmas. They picked the holidays to do it. And Christmas isn't really a religious Christian holiday when it comes down to it. And its roots, it's a pagan holiday. 25th, Christmas. So they do these pagan holidays where they do the assassinations. My son was murdered again on the Ides of March. April 15th, Ides of March, when Caesar was killed. They do this on purpose. On purpose.
Yeah, it's not by accident. And I've looked at those news articles about everything with your sons. So,
well, the hit and run that was done on me, where my son was in the van in front with the family, the girl who's dated at the time, the family going to family reunion. They knew I was going there. It was posted I was heading there online. So they knew the highway, Route 10, obviously, easy. There it is, Route 10. So up comes the two cars coordinated, just like in a Matrix film. Comes over, one's pushing me into the truck, right in front of them. And what day was that? The day that Christ is in hell. The day that Christ is down from the cross in hell, visiting those in hell, which is a satanic holiday too, where they figure Christ isn't on earth at that point. So they celebrate that. That's when they did the hit and run on me, where my son is killed in the Ides of March. So yes, it's planned out for these things where they match it to be clever, and they make sure they try to coordinate it. And all the shenanigans and theatrics they do, they're trying to make audiences go, well, why would they do that? Why would they do that? They wouldn't waste their time with you. Well, if you're worth 1.2 billion, as they say, then yeah, if you wrote the thing and have the copyright, as of this right here, the copyright to the actual Matrix story, and they're freaking out that this date predates the Matrix being shot, and in it is everything from Squiddies to you name it, Jackson Eck and everything else. Granted, more of a personal story from the people's point of view. Then you've got a problem. When the Wachowskis stick in your high school birthday, fiance's birthday, your birthday, all that stuff in the first graphic, they got a problem. So they will do this. They will go the full 9 yards and spend the money on it because they think it's worth it. If they can keep a portion of all the billions they made off the work, yeah, they're going to invest the money to do it and have fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, audiences are smarter than this. They can figure this out. If I was the postman, the mailman, the garbage man, sure. If I hadn't written the screenplay, didn't hold the copyright that preceded the Matrix, yeah. If I do you not think they're going to invest the time and money to destroy and mock and try to break? And 2 dead sons? Give me a mailman with 2 dead sons that were murdered in Hollywood style. I hope there isn't any out there. Or a trash man or a janitor or something like that. Yeah. And then the clock face with the exact birthday on it. I'm sorry, once again, if your exact birthday is on a clock face, again, you have the stills of that. Come on, 7/259 in the industry where it's 10 after 10. Come on. I'm going to try to stop saying wake up. I'm sick of that whole using that as a woke thing, where that's actually Warner Brothers plans too. So one thing the audiences need to realize is that Mel Gibson, not good. All the grooming he has and stuff, he's supposed to appear like the good guy. He is a drunk that knows exactly what the Zionist movement has done in Hollywood. He even said it when he was raging drunk and then apologized for them so he could keep his rewards and honors. And then you've got Joel Silver. You've got these Angel Studios. If you're saddled with Netflix, that means you're working for the other side. So yeah, right there. It's not going to be. And I saw the trailer. I was so disgusted when I saw the trailer. I nearly threw up. When I saw the director. Yeah,
let's touch briefly on that. So there's this new movie out called Sound of Freedom, and it was supposed to be released in 2018, or it was filmed in 2018. It was before the merger of 20th Century Fox with Disney. And when Disney acquired 20th Century Fox, they put this film on the back burner. And I guess like the production crew and team of that film went with another distribution company to purchase the rights from Disney to release this film. And now it is released, and it's kicked Indiana Jones's ass in so few words. But it's still a property that used to belong to Disney.
And what did Joel Silver do when he threw it? When the case was thrown, Joel Silver announces Oblivion. Who held Oblivion for him? Disney. and no other offers made to anybody else. Only Joel Silver, held for him when the case is thrown exactly. And they didn't even finish, like I said, they didn't even finish the novel. They didn't finish the Oblivion novel. They said they don't need to after they threw the case, because they don't need the supposed plausible source material anymore.
Yeah, just like with the Wachowskis with the first draft of The Matrix,
That's
making
right.
it or turning storyboards into a graphic novel and not even having a script.
That's how to lift it. Right. Keep in mind, Matt Damon, the rest, they did not see DiCaprio. They did not see screenplays. Will Smith, when he was approached to do the work, when Sean Connery was, not shown screenplays, only visuals, because the Wachowskis were too lazy to write it down. Sophia Stewart, the plausible element that Warner Brothers and the attorneys for Warner Brothers were using to say, hey, it's her work, never completed a screenplay. 30 pages, she calls it her manuscript, 30 to 33 pages, she sent it to me about the Bible and Star Wars. Not even the screenplay. They're too lazy to actually write it through. It's not there. As a writer, you have to be passionately invested in your vision and work in order to complete a full screenplay. It's hard work. If you do not, if you're working with somebody else's, you don't do it. Blomkamp, for what his name is, who did District 9, said he was so excited about the scene where the pods are flying and the barbed wire and the people looking out from the city, Short Life for City, which you have. That's what he said. He was interested. That's what drove him to the work. And he said writing is like pulling teeth for him. Again, the people, actors were not shown a script. The Wachowskis, when the case was thrown, their version of the work, the defendant's work, was Sense8. They said in the interviews that it's too big to write down. $1 million deal with nothing written down because they're lazy. Same thing that Hitler's mentality was. I was watching a documentary where Hitler did, when he got Bundesstaat or whatever, Reichstag, when he was put in position initially, he said he didn't want to do any work. He never wanted to do work. So Hitler really didn't do the work, it was the people around him. Wachowski, same thing. They wouldn't want to write anything. They mocked it on set. So they used my thing. And then what they did was, after they shot it, as we learned, the 20-foot rule, so you don't see it and upset them that they're consulting a script, and that other people, mainly because other people could go, why don't you do this instead? That was what they were talking about. They don't want anybody else saying anything, because they were making up as they go along off the script, and as you said, the visual storyboard. So the thing is, in the end, they write what the actors had improvised off of the original script. So what happened on set was they would read excerpts from the Immortals and say, okay, we want to do this image, this idea, so go ahead and roll with it. And you hear Morpheus's character, actual actor, going off on this, just rambling. And you'll notice a lot of the actors talk very slow as they make it up, quote, make it up as they go along. That's why it was voted one of the worst sequels ever, the second and third installment, because the architect and the Oracle just ramble. They just ramble. And it's like, that's one of the reasons they said it was the worst ever, like top 11 worst ever sequels, because they're making it up as they go along. And if you look again, so yeah, anyway, yeah.
I think some of the people that I went to see that with, the second and third films, they must have seen something like that, because they just stopped taking everything seriously from the Wachowskis after that. They didn't they didn't trust in their storytelling after that point.
That's
because
right.
It was so overdone.
Cloud Atlas, using Tom Hanks again, who was supposed to be my mentor in Hollywood, right? I was supposed to be mentored by him. Tom Hanks, Cloud Atlas. The Wachowskis are brought in, why? To help write the piece? No, to do the battle sequences. So they can get the name credit, right? Plastic Man and Carnivore has never been done. The two pieces they actually did work on, B movies, as they said, my Bible was the B movie idea of how to spend $1 million, how to make $1 million in Hollywood without losing a dime. That basically paraphrase title. They said that's their Bible. So it's about making cheap movies. So in Matrix 4, they're not doing content of the Immortals screenplay anymore. They say the Immortals world, the world of the Immortals. And their expert witness says, in the case that was just handled and thrown, completely handled by them, when it was already statutes passed and thrown and all materials in hand, the expert witness says Tom created a fantastic world. Oh, so the Wachowskis want to write off that world and mock the author at the same time, but did not care, because they're back to their B movie idea, make a profit off it by not investing much in it as production values or story. And incidentally, the whole Matrix, if you look at it, reason I got nauseous. All the humanities, basically the idea of human interaction and the human story is taken out and cleansed. It's bang it up, shoot it up, sex raves. The thing in London where they had the people come with all their quote gear for the SMM scenes and stuff. And it's like, it's nothing to do with actual personal connections. When Neo and Trinity are having sex in the cave, there's no point to it. It's just, they're just having sex. There's no furtherance of the story, development of the story, anything else. One of the stupidest things I think they did, as we're talking about matchups, was there is a kiss scene in the train station. The second, there's 2 train station scenes you have now. And in the one, she distracts the guard to get through the liquid mirrors by a kiss, right? With Neo. They put that in, but they have it where Neo's supposed to kiss the Men in Journey, whatever guy's woman who's hot. They wanted the hot woman in there, actress. And she's supposed to give him the kiss like she's kissing Trinity, and Trinity's so jealous watching. That gives you the idea of how juvenile the Wachowskis are. It did nothing to further the story. It was very cliche, very stupid. If Trinity's that shallow that Neo is going to kiss this woman and she's just seething watching it, what are we looking at? That's a nerd's fantasy.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It does not serve the story.
So we have some viewers commenting, Rob Harder and Paul A. Rob says, hey guys, and Paul says, hi all, love Tom, thanks for this interview. And then Rob says, I swear it seems like these two are being shadow banned for sure. And yeah, you got to really think about it. Look at my subscriber count. We've had this planned for 2 weeks. I have 1,370 subscribers right now. There's 3 people watching. I don't know. I mean, we had some technical difficulties starting, but we got this live stream rolling under the impression that there will be more people coming in after the first hour, just at all different times throughout while we're live. And it's not even double digits. Come on, YouTube.
It's on my site too. And what's happening is, like, I have a Matrix Facebook site, and all these people comment about, they won't post my comments, it won't go through, I can't get my likes on there. And so on the Matrix site on it, you see 0 views, 0 comments. It's a stupid thing to do by the other side, because all these people are contacting me saying, what's going on? I can't get through. And I put a message up, it's struck. So yes, the shadow banning does go on very heavily.
It's almost like we break out virally, and then they just put the kibosh on it, like within the next day or 2.
I've seen numbers go backwards. I would take a picture of, a screen where with Michael Yeko, we had reached, like I said, 170,000. And then you see another thing where it goes down to 50 or something. They run it backwards. It's like, how did the views decrease? How do you decrease your views?
Yeah. Then, there was another site that did that to me, Brighteon of all places. I was generating views on my videos, but their side counter for the totals were not adding up.
Right.
And so instead of adding those new views to the total counter, they just struck all the new views and kept the same number from the counter that wasn't updated. So it made me lose hundreds of views with that. And that platform is designed for you to only upload a certain number of videos, and then you have to get a certain number of views before your limit is expanded from, in my case right now, it's at 100, and then it would be expanded to 250 videos. And I have way more than that on this YouTube channel, but it's just kind of funny. I can't really take it personally.
No, it's actually,
because I've been doing this for a long time. Like, I've had a YouTube channel since 2006.
Yeah.
Only in this past year was I able to monetize, and that's not even. I made my first 100 in December, and I haven't gotten another Google payout since then.
Right.
Even though the total is saying like $227.
And keep in mind,
that is it. That's nothing.
I hear you. And I'm sorry, as kudos to you having the courage to do this and the wherewithal to keep going. It's like, that's what people keep saying to me. Most common comment I get given to me from people across the planet is, keep going, don't give up. And you're right. And I'm not going to. I mean, I'm not going to. I see you not giving up. And that's what Aiden always told me since he was little. Never give up, Dad. Don't ever give up. Even if something happens to me, Dad, you keep going, Daddy. So applauding his courage, your courage, and those that listen, their courage. It's like, appreciating the comments. It's almost a compliment that they're doing all this to us, because they're very concerned about this getting out. When you get the calls from the inside, they actually call insiders as they're making their offers from Disney and such, which I record, and you'll hear them talking about, everybody knows that your work was taken. That's part of their sweetener they throw in the conversation.
So I want to mention briefly to the audience here, we have new content here to talk about. Tom was gracious enough and trusts me enough to look at these comparisons from his script and how they correlate to these movies that Hollywood has put out, and hijacked his vision from. And they split it up into a whole bunch of different things, but we have a page-by-page analysis that we're eventually going to get to. At least we're going to start in this stream. And I mean, I'd love to finish it up in the same stream, but I feel like we'd be here for 5 hours or even 8 hours just to cover everything. Because
and this is the 1993 version that was tagged as 1998, like we discovered, at the Copyright Office when they did the switch out, just like the title, copyright the Immortals title, Dino Laurentiis, who winded down the Wachowskis. So I would love to show some of the hard-hitting ones, leave some out so that audiences can enjoy the experience of the film when they actually get to see it for the first time, because we are going to make this. We're going to have it made.
Yeah, and I understand where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, but I'd like to get some of the hard-hitting ones, definitely, like we talked about, definitely. And some that you feel that hit home for you, definitely put them up wherever they are. Pick from the whole pot. So
Excellent.
Yeah, that would be my suggestion, because I think that would be a good thing.
Yeah, because we've gone through this several times with showing that you have the physical script, you have the multiple scripts from the patent office with the seal and everything, and time or date stamped, so to speak, with a rubber stamp, and it's from different people at different times, because you've requested several times. And Tom's also sent me his receipts from the patent office, if you want to know, like, if he isn't showing any evidence of that he is the creator of this work. Like, when you're showing me receipts,
and then the tracking number and receipt from the submitting attorney, James Boyd. He has a tracking number to 4000 Warner Brother Lane Story Department with Elizabeth, friend of Bonaventura, tagged as care of Elizabeth to make sure it gets in the hands as Bonaventura instructed. You have the tracking number and receipt from 93, June 25th, 93. So they really don't have a leg to stand on, when it comes down to it, if we actually have a fair venue.
I need to step away real quick, but I am right here. I'm just off camera.
No worries. So what I'm saying is, like, this, one of these things, they try to destroy all the copies that were pre-1995. Thank God for this discovery. They didn't get this one. And this is the notation you can see on the top, is to Greg Mazer, who has all the floppies. So Greg Mazer, in this notation, this is the first time he sent the Immortals script, and this is the 1993 version. Look how rusted everything is on the side.
Yeah.
So the 1993 version sent to Greg to do the battle sequences with me to help perfect them in 1993. So it's a real problem. Now he did his testimony.
I think that script is, I don't know what else to call it, but the trump card.
Yeah.
Like, and that, your 1993 script.
Yeah. It is the trump card.
It goes over everything else that they've put out.
Right. Tracking number, receipt, James Boyd's submission to 4000 Warner Brother Lane, care of Elizabeth, Bonaventura's friend in the story department. And there it is, submitting script, music, everything else, George Michael's, all that going in. And then you've got the testimony of Greg Mazer, who is, he sends this whole thing, and the floppy disks that are time-stamped from 1993. So he's proving that, yes, this submitted was in 93. That was the big battle. The big battle was Warner Brothers, who took all these copies through submitted attorneys and handling attorneys and erased any copies that were from 1993 to 96, because the first time you see the word Matrix mentioned is 96. So they're trying to battle it that way, knowing we got all the proof, and that throwing the case may not hold in the future. That's why Disney says you won the chess game. They're realizing audiences will figure it out later, where the card being played, he lost his case, will no longer hold in the future, because enough people are going to figure out that the guy who threw it was ineligible to practice law, right? So there he is, the guy who was a classmate with Warner Brothers lead attorney, right? So they're going to figure that out, that when he was fired, we have the emails, when he was fired, he allowed them to proceed to summary judgment without objection, which means the case is over. That means you're not going to show any evidence, which means you have to show triable issue. One means you go to court. We've got all these Jackson Neck and everything. So he blocked everything after he's fired and had the audacity within a half an hour to send an email saying, I allowed their phone call that I gave them to be the meeting required by the courts, and I allowed them to proceed to summary judgment without objection. Can you believe that? So
They're
when
just
you
a bunch of snakes.
Yeah, when you hear, oh, his case is thrown, that's where I get really frustrated with the public sometimes, is that don't fall for that. And anywhere they've just blanketed the net with he lost his case, the judge saw it. Come on. And then the judge that was in the pocket was appointed by Bush's administration and Robertson's Law and Justice Center to make sure he wouldn't be a second-class citizen. Robertson wouldn't be a second-class citizen, he says, by having judges make conservative decisions. So Gary Klausner was the first appointment by Bush, President Bush, and his dream team, which was Jay Sekulow and Robertson's team. So yeah, it gives me chills that Trump's personal attorney is Jay Sekulow, Robertson's main man for subverting our world. Oh my God!
You got to quit. So again,
God.
People who may assume my political stances, I am independent, and I'm not going to get into where I was a few years ago, but I mean, I'm questioning everything. That's the only way we can navigate through all this.
That's right. I was told Trump was standing by to see if we succeeded, then him and Giuliani would jump onto our bandwagon. That he knew that my mom would promise that she'd have dinner with Trump and that he was standing by. And if we succeed, then we're heroes, we're influential. Then Trump would have dinner with my mom and I, which he wasn't a big Trump fan. And he would latch on. So this is the game, the way they play. This is the game they play. Now I'm a little upset about that. It's like I'm just being played like a card for power.
Yeah, it's not cool.
Can I use you? Can I not use you? That's how Washington, D.C. works.
Ideally, you'd be able to freely express your ideas through script writing, and these studios, if they had any like heart or backbone or soul, they would let you or take credit for the work that they're using.
That's right.
So
think of the Immortals, like you have the pages. Jim Reese, which they put in Amazon later in the terminal list, where you're on a list. Robertson's people said, you're on a list, Tom. You're going to be taken out. You're on a list, a blacklist, won't be used. That happened ever since 1988 when he's running for president, when he blames me for the presidential loss after I was being groomed to be the face of the Christian Coalition. Provided everything under the sun. So what they do is they put you on a list. So in Amazon Prime, they have the terminal list with Jim Reese. Well, who's the character in the Immortals? Jim Reese.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was also a name you made as a secondary name, like it wasn't in the first draft.
Right.
I do want to point that out as well.
That's right. The earliest version that was being worked on in 1989 through 1992, it was not Jim Reese. It was like Baxter or something. It was a different thing, different name. So yeah. And then it falls into place. By 93, it's securely there. Obviously, Jim Reese is it.
Now, see, if I was in Sophia's position, I would actually use that Baxter name to give it more credibility. If you're trying to take credit for your work, why wouldn't she go back all the way to like the earliest drafts? Instead, she's pushing a book that she self-published, and from what you've revealed to us, she was put out there by Warner Brothers to take all the arrows that the critics would first. They basically took your thunder away twice in a way. Firstly, by taking your script, and then by pushing someone forward pretending to be that author. It's all sanctioned by Warner Brothers, or else they wouldn't have let Sophia Stewart go out and talk like that.
That's right. And employing the tactics of the art of war, as they all like.
Hey, Bella's back in the chat on YouTube here.
But that's the thing. What they do, hi Bella. What they're doing is they're taking then the case. They're making litigation, which they told me to do. Their people are the ones that pushed me to do litigation through that whole series of pre-planned stuff. with the right people in place back in 93 to handle it. Back in 93. Keep in mind that Lenny Coco, who was best friends with Bonaventura from Warner Bros., who still claims he discovered and shepherded the Matrix story, right? He's best friends with Lenny Coco. So Lenny Coco is the one that was in place with the handoff firm, ready in Pasadena, for 2014. So 1993, 2014, who has Miriam Espinosa as their paralegal, who is the relative of Lenny Coco. See? So everything's put in place. And then they have my daughter marry Ralph Rios and Associates, Ralph Rios, his relative, Jacob Rios, both from Texas in Pasadena. And that's in 2014. He comes into her life, and she's estranged from me. So there you go. So that's the little girl in the Matrix. So what you have is they're covering every single base. Mike Lang of Disney handling the honeypot wife, Rebecca Lynn Northcutt. What does Robertson do when the case is thrown? They open a restaurant in Virginia Beach called what? 5 stars, 4 to 5 stars, called My Becca. That's how they do it. Isn't it incredible?
Yeah, it's all a demoralization thing, try to make you go away. Or at least put you in a cage where they can control you and use you as needed.
Part of the
whatever
process.
their sadistic needs are.
Part of the process. They say, okay, well, they let you know about it. So that's why they put it in plain sight. They let you know about it. They try to say, look, it's right there. But audiences will never pick it up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let the live audience know now that we do have material to go over.
Tom, let's go ahead.
Yeah,
do you want to go over the headphones one?
What's that?
You want to go over the one, like some of the killer ones, like the headphones, driver, screen?
Yeah, if you have ones that you have picked
I'd love
out
to start with that, just as the
so
visual.
What page is it? So yeah, basically Tom sent me these basically a page by page comparisons of his script to what has been used from his script in other movies throughout the years. And it's more, you have to think of this more as like it's been peppered throughout all these studios. So it may be a hard concept for some people to follow, but if you put into perspective that all these studios are under one umbrella, and we'll call that umbrella Hollywood, they have this inside inside secret, yes, where they like to use stuff from your work.
They tell you it's a mockery of you. And that's, thank God, the person from the inside the story department told me where to look for that first graphic. The first graphic I wrote, the first scene I wrote, and the first scene they shot, and the first graphic they made is in the interrogation scene. But if you go to this, I'd like to make sure we get the right page here, so I can tell you what page that one I'm going to address. I'm going to match it up with an image on a share screen, if that's okay with you.
That's fine.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go find it right now. Let's go down here. I'm going to go through the page.
Just so the audience is aware too, we're dealing with this isn't even a whole script, but we have 128 pages of evidence from script to matchups in other films. 128 script pages that have matchups. Right. Just to be clear. So this is a lot of information. And like I said, we may not get to all of it today. And I know Tom doesn't want to reveal his story before it's presented. Yeah.
I want some surprises for the audience too, but I want to go over some of the hardest hitting ones and ones that you feel akin to. Definitely.
Yeah. So I want
to make sure.
Yeah. I wanted to clarify this for everybody watching, because it's not that Tom is being repetitious with what he's presenting. It's that these are the most blatant acts of plagiarism that Hollywood's performed against Tom, and he's trying to get his message out, and there's a lot of suppression. YouTube, for example. So we're at 7 viewers live. I have over 1,000 subscribers. So we had this scheduled 2 weeks in advance. There should be more engagement, and there's not. So when Tom is going over stuff again, it's stuff he remembers, it's stuff that has happened to him, and he's telling his story. So if it seems like it's all over the place, it's because he's remembering different things. That this happens when any type of good interview, where you start getting into a lot more detail. And with the detail that Tom has gone into with all of this, I am convinced that he is the writer of the screenplay, which was used and is still being used today in Hollywood
I appreciate
as their whole I guess their crutch to stand on, because they don't have any original ideas. I was thinking that too, like 15 years ago. I'm like, yeah, they don't have any original ideas. I was guarding all mine close to my chest, and you saw what that one. I do one short film at Columbia College, and then the Breaking Bad production team goes and copies the same shot.
Sorry, I know. And keep in mind what they're doing is they're lifting images they think are cool, putting them into a visual storyboard, and that's how they convince the suits that they can steal the work, because they didn't understand the work. It was told to me by different producers. They did not understand the work at all, so they mocked it on set. Now go to page 110. Go to 110, and can we share screen?
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to do share.
And I'm going to show you an image, and then you're going to go to 110. You're going to read the one description for audiences. As soon as you get that activated, it'll do that.
Okay, should be good. You should be
Now,
good to share.
sometimes what happens is they get a little lazy, as they're very lazy. Anybody sees the Bound interview thing, like I said. They get very lazy and they start to just keep the whole scene. They didn't know how to wrap up the ending, so they kept the exact ending. Little girl train station.
So I want to pause here. I want the audience to soak in this image that Tom has put on the screen. Those that have watched this Matrix series by the Wachowskis, that's under their name. This image here with this character on the right is there were a lot of complaints about this character.
Yeah,
it seemed like he was shoehorned into the series.
He demanded to be a part of it. He had something over the Wachowskis where they had to give him, because he was saying, put me in the film and give me this scene and give me this scene. So apparently he saw the script. He wanted the scene to be attached to him, and he had to keep it identically, exactly matched. You're right. Yeah. So now read the description that he wanted, because he thought it was cool. So here's a guy that had something over the Wachowskis as an actor and made them put him in. Now, the Wachowskis have major egos, so there must have been something hellish that they had over the Wachowskis. Now read the description on 110.
All right, let me pull this up. So 110. You want me to just read the script?
No, read the
description.
The upper side about the young driver.
Yes. Okay,
read that paragraph, if you may.
I need to open it in my Google because
well, I can do it side by side then. Don't worry.
Okay, cool.
Let me go back to.
It cuts off at the end, so I only get like half of a sentence because the file name's so long.
Right.
I ran into that problem too. I'm like, oh boy.
Let me pull it up. Hold on. Okay, I'm going to pop this up and do. Why don't I just do it side by side? Okay, watch this. Watch this gentleman, who the Wachowskis did not want as an actor, get his way because he wanted to do this exactly. Now, this is very telling. Now, they're trying to keep it secret things on, code names on set, 20-foot rule, all that, but this guy's able to break through. I want audiences to catch this now. Interior tunneler underground. Okay, he's driving the ship. A young driver is having a blast operating the tunneler and playing loud music. He watches the screen showing the scrolling map in green with blips on it. So they were not able to hide this because this egomaniac actor had something over the Wachowskis and got his scene, including the scene with him having this relationship with an interior lady or wife and kids inside the Zion itself. And the Wachowskis didn't want that relationship in the film. They cleansed all relationships.
I'm gonna take a leap of faith here. So just based off of this actor's career, he was, I think, Mercutio in the.
He was in Lost.
Yeah, he was in Lost.
which is a big
Yeah,
ripoff.
so yeah, he's in Lost too.
A big ripoff of Lost.
This
This
is
keep recurring.
it. Just keeps going with these people.
Right.
So
So this guy
he was
knows.
he was in Romeo and Juliet, the remake, which was made by Baz Luhrmann, who also made The Great Gatsby.
Right.
Who was bailed out by the studios. So, and all these people are somehow getting like a get out of jail free card, or they're getting a free stimulus check, whatever you want to call it. But these these directors, these producers that should be failing are not failing. Look at Kathleen Kennedy at Disney. She should not be in the position she's in.
That's right.
She has killed Star Wars, and now she's killed Indiana Jones.
Yep. She was part of
Marvel's already been killed. Like,
who are the main culprits? Steven Spielberg, Disney, Marvel, along with Universal Studios, brought in Sony and Warner Brothers. So those are the main players. And now Angel Studios and Lionsgate and Miramax Films.
Yeah.
What you have is these guys circulate within the inner circles. This guy knows about the ripoff. This guy is benefiting off the ripoff. This guy has more authority in what gets done than the Wachowskis within the ripoff. This is a key figure right here. And he's a bad actor, I will say. He did it. I couldn't stand watching him in Lost. It's like, yeah, sorry to say, but he's got some kind of pull and power.
They reduced to, I don't know. If they were all about just making fun of each other, they reduced that character down to just screaming his son's name.
Yes,
like
yes. The nauseous in a way that's just
it just can't. They totally just don't care about storytelling.
Not at all.
It's more of a humiliation ritual, which we're well aware of all of the different tactics they have with that.
Yeah. The little girl.
So that was page 110. What Tom just showed from his. So this was from the 98 script, or the 93
script.
It's the 93 script. Okay.
Which, but it was part of the 98 script, but it's the 93 script. So it would have had more development in the 98 version, which they cashed out. But yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It still holds very strong, even more so.
So commenter Paul said that that actor was also the narrator on Oz.
Okay.
So I believe he's referring to the TV show, which I haven't watched. But
right.
Yeah. So there's another one that's it was a cable access series for a while.
Right. Now, if you go to the let's go to we can go to so many places. There's the Bane scene. I think that's really
let's check that out.
Telling. I want to show you something that goes with that one. Let me see if I can find the Bane scene now. So Bane would be near the midpoint in this version. So that would be around page 58. So let me just check and look and see if it shows up there. Robot-like agents, yes. Glaring, and then you got the next page, which is page 50. Where's 59? That's where they do those blend around stuff. Let me go to page 59 real quick. That's 60. That's not it. Let's go to the one before it. Almost there with you. Here we go.
So I'm just going to touch on this topic again briefly for the audience. So Tom has multiple drafts, as a screenwriter should, of his work. And we're talking about two different drafts today. First draft being the 1993 draft. Now, I'm not saying that was your first draft initially, but that's the one that we're talking about that comes first.
Right.
And then the 1998 version, which is a refined version, which you've been showing on camera for a long time now.
And since they're so freaking out now, remember that we were talking about the documentary being made, and that's when the head of Warner Brothers, that lady who was there for 3 days, part of the cabal, or three decades, actually resigned without successor right when they struck my site. So that's because the documentary was not announced on when it would be coming out. And now with us working things, it'll be interesting. So let's go to share screen on that page, and I'll show you that page. And I think this will get interesting, how they go beyond the call to mock it. Keep in mind that Dustin Hoffman was supposed to be, when what's his name? Robert Bonaventura, Lorenzo D. Bonaventura, had me on the phone pitching it all from Lenny Coco's house, his best friend. He said, who do you think would be good to play the roles? And I thought the architect should be played by Dustin Hoffman. Now, Dustin Hoffman has made my life a nightmare ever since, mocking everything from Meet the Fockers to Fu Panda. He's always mocking the original author because it makes him better position in Hollywood to mock the guy who was saying that he should be the architect. So thanks a lot. Big welcome. Thank you, Dustin. So here you go. So share screen. Watch what he does in Kung Fu Panda. And first of all, we'll address the screen page itself. So in the screen page, what you have is, first of all, fans of the work, if there are any, would see Bane, this image of Bane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neo is looking through Bane's eyes and sees this, Agent Smith, who's our Behringer, right, in Immortals.
Mm-hmm.
So where did they get that from? And you've got Bane on the ship. You go to the scene on the ship. I'm going to sneeze here. Here's Bane. Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you. Here's the scene. I'll probably do a lot more right now. Okay, so we got Bane holding Trinity at knife point, right? And there's Neo going to intercept, and he's going to see Smith through Bane's eyes in the shot you just saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
An agent looking through a lower agent into his eyes to see Smith. Let's go to the page. All right, Immortals original work. Copyrighted, where the Matrix doesn't have a copyrighted. Copyrighted in 1990.
So your script says that he looks into the character's eyes and sees that character, Behringer.
They simplified it. So watch what happens here. It says about robot-like agents. Keep in mind, Joel Silver got that wrong in arguing with the suits that they're, and even the execs from Warner Bros. Said, what do you mean robots in a program? He's like, well, it's robots in a program. No, Joel Silver, boy, no brain. Robot-like agents. And there's the eye flicking to the left. So he gets it right in Oblivion. Robot-like agents with Tom Cruise in Oblivion. He gets it right after he steals the work and gets it from Disney. So what you have is you have the character robot-like, right? And remind me later to read the description that Hugo Weaver uses, which he receives for the Smith character. I think that's going to be important. So here have the Steve's eyes flick to the left, which means he's receiving orders. Now the Wachowskis turn to that wiggle, 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 slamming thing. They always overblow everything because it's not their work. They overblow it to make it more their effects. Steve's expression does not change, which is this Bane character. Mendel is the best friend of Neo. He's an agent who had his memories erased and is allowed to be friends with Neo. Why? Because he's going to be resurrected later and used later for the Cortex building by the architect's plan. See, there's always an architect, always has a plan. What free will we have, what we have is actually controlled by the architect. Now that's why the architect babbles at the end with the Oracle, because so badly done in the end of the actual Matrix trilogy is he babbles with the Oracle, where they said it was the worst 11 all-time sequels of all time, because he's babbling about what he thought was cool. The architect has control of free will, supposedly. So what you have is Mendel, the best friend, steps forward, but the Wachowskis don't like that. They take it out. They don't like the nice relationships. So they take out the relationship and they have Neo do it in place, just like the end when the Neo character replaces Christ figure with identical figures facing off. So here they're replacing him again. So it's the best friend of Neo, a former agent that would know about this, stepping up and looking through the other agent's eyes and says, is Behringer there, which is the Smith character, head agent. Kirk Behringer is Agent Smith. So he steps up knowing this is going on into the eyes of the Bane character, saying, is basically Smith there? So our character makes a joke. He's saying basically the Smith character. And Steve, get this, the Bane character responds, hello, Hans. So that shows you that Smith character is speaking through Bane. Do you get it? Mm-hmm. He's saying a line from Smith through Steve, through the Bane character. So let's just take it Matrix style. Smith character talking through Bane. Hello, Neo. See it? And that's why Neo makes the joke, I get it, multiple personalities, has to speak to Elvis. And then Mendel, best friend, speaks to Agent Smith through Bane. It's right there. Mendel speaks to Behringer through Steve. Mendel says, Behringer, let him go. So Smith let Neo go. See what's going on? Now watch how they mock it. Dustin Hoffman has to have his licks in, right? So let's get rid of the pages. Let's watch what good old Dustin Hoffman does. Here we are. Kung Fu Panda, just in case youth get it in the future. Come on, baby.
He will soon be mine.
Is he talking to which one? They're all talking.
Oh, you're right. That's so scary. We should try that too. Maybe it'd be scary back at them.
Okay, but we got a plan we're going to say first. Otherwise, it won't be scary. It'll just be stupid.
Not them talking, idiots. It's me talking through them. Talk. Okay, enough.
Yeah. Wow.
Makes sense?
That's a way to put it in a kid's movie, huh?
Look what they did. So they make fun of it, saying like, "Oh, this is really scary." Oh, like they, just like, what are you talking through? Wait, you're talking through everybody. Oh, enough of this. So they're mocking.
Yeah, there was nothing serious about that scene at all. The way they presented that.
They're mocking the original author's work, where they're talking through the eyes, which was pretty frightening at the time. But now because they were using up the rest of the story. They keep Phil Serpa says they want to use up the rest of the story. What he said in 2003 on set after they shot, he said, "We hope when we watch the rushes that it'll tie together." Then, well, tie together if you had an actual script that was chosen and proven, on set. And then we hope that it'll, it'll tie together and use up the rest of the story. So what you have is Dustin Hoffman involved in mocking the whole idea of Bane talking through Smith, or Smith talking through Bane, which is made very clear in the Immortals. And they're trying to do this in kids, get kids to be programmed with this, where if they ever watch the Immortals, they'll be like, something striking them as adults, be like, I've seen this somewhere before. This has been done before. And it's
there will be that recall.
Program of it's stupid. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing where he says it like, oh, this is really scary. Oh, this is really scary. Yeah. So it's almost like you have to watch it again to get what's going on. But for me, that just hits home. There's the guy that was supposed to be the architect, actor. That's a nice gesture. That's a nice privilege that he's named, mocking all the time to prove to Hollywood he's still a jerk for them. And then what happens in Meet the Fockers? Interesting. So it's Robert De Niro and Dustin Hoffman. Robert De Niro was the only other person I named besides Alec Baldwin. I said Alec Baldwin should play Neo as a lot of people would argue with that, saying, why would you pick him? But it was this understated real man, real person shoes kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. I thought he would fit at the time. Young Alec Baldwin. So this is 93, pitching 93. So what happens is Lorenzo Di Bonaventura says, well, what about Robert De Niro? He's in town right now. What about him for Neo? And as a young writer who's being told your script's going to be made, $1 million, you made it, and we're making this in Warner Brothers, you're not going to fight him on it. So I said, okay, that sounds plausible. Right, that's a pitch session. So Robert De Niro teams up with Dustin Hoffman and Meet the Fockers, right? And what happens here? Jack is Robert De Niro. His wife is Diane. My brother, who sold out to Disney, his name is Jack. His wife is Diane. Dustin Hoffman's character only has one ball, one testicle. Hitler only had one testicle. The architect is Hitler.
Yeah, and that's a direct reference
to
the H-Man there.
Why would you put it in there? Why would you put it in Meet the Fockers? What is that even? Why is it there? It's to mock through the work because they don't care about the audiences. They want their inside jokes. That's what's happening through all these films. So it really becomes a catalog of important information that people are going to find in the future. Hello. When algorithms are run, and you'll lift these things and see why these things are actually there. All these different Easter egg films, YouTubes, not to knock them, are missing the boat by miles, as if they're in Gibraltar trying to catch a boat in New York. They are so far off the mark, and they're not catching what really is there. So look forward to really cool Easter egg videos like this one, exposing what's really there. And thank goodness for audiences that are able to tune in, because these people know first what except inside the industry. So God bless you all. Isn't that something though? The whole idea of looking through the agent's eyes and how the Wachowskis simplified it. This also illustrates how they simplify it. They took out the relationship. Having an agent who's real, who's not allowed to show fear he's terminated, has had off the program Memories Erased, which Josh Whedon saw the script and did Dollhouse with Memories Erased, which the residue of the memories remain, exactly what Josh Whedon used and stole for Dollhouse. So what happens is you've got this idea of the agent, best friend of Neo, who is there for a reason for the architect, we'll find out later. And he is seen through the eyes of Smith because he knows how this works with the room of monitors. Wachowski have threaded it all, took it all out of the story and made it into simplistic illustrations in a visual storyboard, making up on set as they go. Make sense? So those that are still alive, the generation now, and those still alive will get to see how it all fits together, and you got the pages.
I had one question from the audience off of TikTok, actually. When Neo goes to visit the Oracle in the first Matrix, there's that saying over the door frame, and it means "Know thyself." Was that in your script, or was that something that they ended up putting in after the fact?
They stuck it in. It's a great question. They stuck it in to try to be, important, clever. They handed out books like so-and-so's theory of like this Eastern kind of idea, philosophy. And they say this is required reading for actors on set. But they didn't quote it right. The author even says, they're not even doing my work right. Because they're too lazy to read it, like Hitler. They're too lazy to read it. Oh,
yeah. They gave the actors a book to read.
Right, but they didn't read it themselves. They didn't know themselves, and they said it wrong. And then that the author actually comes back later and says, you didn't represent my work, right? See? It's just to think of it again, lifting the work. Keep in mind that Plastic Man and Carnivores never have been made. Nobody wants it, even though they were famous and pushed it. Still not done. Yet that they cover it by handing out a book and say, you got to read this. That's like me handing out War and Peace and say, you got to read this, Stephen.
You'd think that. Okay, so here's a question for the audience, and it's hypothetical, really. But you'd think that people such as the Wachowskis, who have been promoted as being the creators of the Matrix series, why wouldn't their pet projects or their early work that they really wanted to make, why wouldn't that get greenlit with the impact that they've had on the industry?
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
Because everybody's still talking about waking up, red pills. Like I constantly hear that every day, and I'm sure others have too. I'm trying to avoid saying you have it because I'm not speaking for you, but I hear it all the time, and it's not even part of the conversation. And somebody brings up, "Yeah, well, we're all still in the Matrix." It's been almost 3 decades, what, 93 to now, and people are still talking about these concepts which you originally came up with.
Well, that's the thing. Other beings that we're looking in our universe, whether people believe it or not, wouldn't they be kind of like confused or have inquiries of why would you have original source authors of all these different work that were ripped off? Because, Gravity, Avatar, even Kill Bill, right down to Baywatch. I've been told all these have been ripped off and contacted by the different authors. So what you've got is, and Napoleon Dynamite, what you have is a situation where other beings would be like, why are they not listening to the original authors? Why are they listening to failed writers that were brought in to be given the work so they could keep it in-house in the studios? That can't explain it and said they're too shy to do it. Can I show you the article real quick, just a side shoot of what the Wachowskis say after the case is thrown for locked in? Because they said everybody knows they were too shy, right? Too shy to do interviews, right? Too shy. Look at this title in September 29, 2012. After Joel Silver and Mike Lang of Disney leave unexpectedly within a month because I was going to go forward in April 2012 to the judge and say, look, they're not serving the defendants, they're running my latches out. So they all flee, and then they attorneys for Warner Brothers reconstitute Rankin's license and eligible to practice law, like we said. And
Tom, I cannot believe this article. They want to be called Wachowski Starship.
Oh my God.
It just keeps getting better and better.
Look at this. Look at the timing too. I agree, Steve. Look at the timing. So September 29, 2012, after they get Rankin back in position, stipulate to serve the defendants after it's missed. They won the case. They ran latches out, but they got to get all the materials. So they stipulate to serve Joel Silver and the Wachowskis and Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, think of it. Warner Brothers attorneys stipulated, special stipulation, go ahead and serve our people, our clients. Go ahead and serve them court case subpoenas.
It says in the title here, no longer press shy, which correlates with they were quiet during the court case, and once it was thrown, they felt like they had the freedom to talk about anything and everything they wanted.
And when was it thrown? 2012.
And the date of this article is September 29th, 2012.
That's right. It was thrown actually May 2012. You watch the exit articles of Joel Silver and Mike Lang are April 2012 and May 2012. Then they go right back. Joel Silver, it said, severed his relationship, 25 years relationship with Warner Brothers, and had to move off the lot. And it's back 6 months later because they had the defendant served. The Warner Brothers, again, listen to this. The Warner Brothers attorneys stipulated that their defendants could be served after they've already won from running out latches. They need my materials, they need my notes and all my drafts and everything else, and throw it publicly. So then after the case is thrown, each defendant announces their take on the work. Warner Brothers, Elysium.
So I hope this is making sense to the viewing audience here.
I do too.
That there was all the stuff that happened in the 90s with Tom's script, and it eventually turned into the Wachowskis taking the Matrix script and all that and being assigned by Warner Brothers to be the figureheads of all this. They had Tom's script in hand on the set.
Mm-hmm.
They had that 20-foot rule that I've never heard of since. But I remember hearing about it at the time because I was looking at all the behind the scenes stuff, which you can't really find anymore online. And then you fast forward through, okay, they've made the sequels, and now Tom's building his case in the mid 2000s. And what you go through this for quite a while, I assume. And
yeah, we organized the evidence so perfectly for them, but it was never entered. Keep in mind again, Tony Rankin, suspended license, running the latches out, case is destroyed. They stipulate to go forward anyway. It's already over. Because they want
so then like 11 years ago in 2012 is when the case was thrown.
That's when it's
and
really
then,
thrown. Yeah.
And then you just have to look at the timeline of all this. When these movies came out, it was after this case was thrown. Oblivion, exactly. Elysium, Sense8, and a few others off the top of my head. But yeah, it's clear as day to me, knowing what I know and from having talked with you, just the way that this is all laid out in a timeline form. And where makes sense.
And where is James Boyd's testimony and submission? Where is it? They said, if you show, you directly submit, where is this? Why did Rankin say that he had nothing, contacted him, he had nothing, therefore you don't have a case? After Warner Brothers admitted on tape that they're not going to give any disclosures because they have no working drafts and no scripts of the Matrix. You can't do a film without working drafts and scripts. There were no notebooks, the Wachowskis were lying. And so this was not included. After Lenny Coco's on tape saying, yeah, you were here at my house. Yeah, you pitched it. Yeah, you were. That's not included. And so then look at the inverse ratio rule one more time with share screen. I want to show you what the courts show and what's so wild about this. We would have won hands down coming and going. They know that. So if you go to this inverse ratio rule, which is used in the Sophia Stewart case quoted because she didn't have anything. They didn't have a problem citing everything with her. Inverse ratio rule. This is from the courts in California themselves, quoting themselves. We require a lower standard of proof of substantial similarity when a high degree of access is shown. So we have what? James Boyd's tracking number, receipt, submission of letter, everything is, he has it all. Everything is there, but it's not included. And Rankin allows the case to proceed to summary judgment without objection, which means there's no tribal issues to present to refute the MSJ.
So essentially you provided all of this evidence to your attorneys.
Everything.
But the court was basically saying, this is too much. Give us the best of the best.
The attorneys were working together.
Trim it down.
Working together. Rankin was working together with his classmates from Warner Brothers, working together with his classmates from Rios. who provided the daughter to the husband. So what you have, it's all interconnected. So it's the attorneys doing this. And that's why they were screaming for me not to go to the judge to tell him what's going on. And that's when Mike Lang and Joel Silver both leave the respective firms, Disney and Warner Brothers. But they're the ones that block all evidence going in by making sure that summary judgment goes forward without any objection after Rankin's fired. See, with a phone call that says proceed. I had all the evidence laid out so clearly, it never gets to the judge. Never does.
And
So
it's so unfortunate because you had everything ready to go.
Everything.
And
Everything.
It's kind of like they intercepted everything. But you still have evidence, but the way that you presented it.
They cleansed my files, but I still have evidence. Yes, thank God that it was.
I think that's an important
Yeah.
part of all of this too, is that you did produce evidence to the courts, and
3
they
years period.
either didn't hear it or they threw it out because
They
of the
wouldn't allow
case
it.
and all that,
They
and
didn't allow
plus
it. And
everybody involved. Yeah.
Rankin, we have a thing where Rankin's editing out the filing after he filed me pro per and forged my signature. After running the statutes out, he goes on vacation after 3 years when it's time to file in 2019, to meet statutes, and disappears. Can't be reached, can't be reached. The day that the statutes run, he reappears on email after like months of disappearing. He goes, oh, I guess we can't file now. I guess you lost your case. It's in the email trail. Yeah. Then he files it pro per saying in the email, oh, I'll have to tell you about something. His suspended license and eligible to practice law was since 1992. So, and he's filing it, in 2012? And he didn't remember? Doesn't put it in the email. Later he says, oh, I forgot about this. And doesn't want to mention the contract. Somehow that disappears. We're going to make the contract exactly how it was. Puts in a clause that pleases Warner Brothers that if I say anything against him, it's no longer pro bono. What it be would have to pay every fine, every cost immediately right away to keep me from being able to do the case. So it's like, and he never wants that contract shown. He never wants it shown. He made a big stake during deposition, my depositions, not to show the contract. Here's the contract. And in it, on this other page, which is highlighted, you see what he doesn't want shown. The whole setup, the whole ploy, that if you don't do everything he wants, and keep in mind, his quote was, I just want to give them everything they want to be done with it. I was railroaded. The deposition is very clear in the argument in the deposition. Anytime, he doesn't defend me on anything. He only works for them. And it's very clear in the transcript of the deposition they never wanted me to have. It was the court reporters that got it to me. The court reporters that said, this is fascinating. This is amazing. They gave me a copy free later because Rankin and Burroughs made sure that I would never receive the Warner Bros. Attorney and his classmate Rankin. They said to me during the deposition tape, which is great, we got the tape, keep in mind, 2 identical tape recorders. Rankin gives me his by accident. Wrong one back. Everything's on it, even his lunch, which is legal in California. But on it, you'll hear them say, you just have to push a button later and you'll get to review your transcript, which is your right by law. And then it's changed to Rankin saying, oh, the court reporters aren't going to give it to you. It costs thousands of dollars to see it. They don't want me to change anything. They want me to review it. Then I find out from the court reporters, they sent an email or a letter addressed to me that Rankin intercepted and never gave to me that said, we want you to have the right to review your transcript now. And Rankin intercepted it and said, lied on the email. Wait till you see everything we have that can come forward in our documentary. Wait till you see what we have, including the stipulation order that ordered what? The stipulation order they did right when things started going. For attorney's eyes only, not for judge, not for jury, not for plaintiff, for evidence to be shown only to attorney's eyes only. Well, they didn't have any. We find out later on Rankin's tape. Thank God we got it. And what is Rankin's response when they say it's a moot point to ask for any initial disclosure or discovery? A year overdue. We're not going to give you anything because it's a moot point to ask for it because we don't have anything. What's Rankin's response to that? That means you're going to win. Rankin's response is, oh, okay, well then I'll write a letter so we can agree to disagree. So he can protect his ass or butt and say, protect his butt and say, okay, do it. I won't do anything in return. And then right after that is disclosed to us, he's on the train with me going, well, you don't have a case. You don't have a case. They just said they don't have it. They're not going to give any disclosures, which is fraud in the court. You're not doing due process. I could act on that. No, they're my friends. I want to give them everything they want and be done with it. And then you're arguing with your client. You have nothing because James Boyd has nothing. Nothing. Well, James Boyd had everything. You're going to enter it? No. I'm going to let them proceed to summary judgment without objection a half hour after I'm fired is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and I think that's something that other people watching need to understand is that the whole court situation in general in this country is it operates in a way that it seems like it's compromised because you can bring forth evidence, the judge can deny, like they don't want to view it.
That's right.
It's really messed up.
You have tapes of me screaming, saying, submit my stuff, do your job. You have letters, emails me saying this. Never done.
Yeah, and you're rightfully like in that place to be that upset about it because you're trying to defend yourself.
For my family.
And they're denying you of a defense.
And look what happens to you if it's thrown. If it's thrown like that, right? So Rankin waltzed away doing everything he wanted for them. And they're the ones that redid his websites. They provided his own personnel. He's well rewarded now doing euthanasia cases on Maui, where death coaches he represents, making a fortune off of that as they coach people to commit suicide. Unbelievable monster. But classmates of Linda Burrow and Ralph Rios both, all defense attorneys from University of Berkeley, keeping it in-house. It's going to make sense when people actually see the pieces come together. But the stipulation order, not for judge, jury, or plaintiff. Why was it to be seen only by Rankin? Because of what they said during the deposition. There is no evidence disclosed. They don't have anything. They told the articles they have tons of evidence. Rankin says it to me earlier. You have tons of evidence. They'll just shoot you down. It's like, no, they don't. So he can see it. Only he can see it. It makes it look like process has been done. It's amazing how this was orchestrated and set up. Amazing. It goes on and on like this. On and on. In fact, he allowed them to proceed to stipulation order in an email saying, oh yeah, Tom's agreed to this whole thing. And said, I saw that email. I said, I did not agree to this. He got very upset. Okay, I didn't tell my client. And then he said, okay, you can't go forward without your signature. What? For attorney's eyes only? I said, I will not sign this. I will not do it. So what he does is, just like he did with this proceed to summary judgment without objection, we have an email later, like a week or two later, said, he goes, well, I did allow it to go. I submitted it. I said, I couldn't go with my signature. I forbade it. And the judge ruled mostly in our favor. Really? Really? So you allowed for your attorney's eyes only to go in when I said distinctly not to do it. See what's going on? Give them everything. Then they argued that I should do only telephonic depositions where it's by the phone, but I'm not going to ask any questions. Don't pass me any notes about questions. I'm not going to do yours. I have a different take on it. I'm just going to, he's what he said. I'm going to ask them soft questions and then we can pass notes back and forth, but I'm not going to do anything you say. What? It'll be an advantage for us, telephonic depositions. So he says that we're going to do telephonic depositions. Then we see this email from Warner Bros. Going, we're going to do telephonic depositions, only telephonic depositions.
Yeah, it's a way of suppression.
They're in the pocket.
Plus you don't get your face out there to your name. And then look at all the deep fake stuff with video right now. They can easily make up your voice if they wanted to now.
Oh yeah. Well, he forged my signature. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, there's so many things we can touch upon, like the ending. Keep in mind, the Wachowskis said on set, remember the 20-foot rule, where people were getting frustrated because it wasn't getting shot in time. Yeah. So they're trying to figure out how to end it. They can't figure a clever way to end it, obviously, if they're lifting everything out of context. So there's that interview where they said, everyone said to blow, like we said, everyone said to blow it up, blow up the Matrix. And they said, we're going to keep it exactly as it is. My exact ending. Which you
I mean, I had heard also that they were taking a long time because I guess Hugo Weaving's hair was falling out or something, and they needed to make all the clone or the copies of him all match what the other series was.
Yeah, that might have been an excuse because they were having a terrible time.
Like that's probably one of the many setbacks that they encounter, and I'm sure the crew's gonna get upset over that if you're not on schedule.
Absolutely right.
Everybody gets stressed out then. I'd like to talk to some of these other people that were on the set that feel like, or at least are aware of what's going on, and have them share their side of the story too.
Exactly.
But,
now, you just made me think of something very important. The Smith description. I want to share that page too. What Hugo Weaver read from the original screenplay, or was told. to develop his character. I think this is I think it might be interesting to people. So I want to find the page where we have.
By the way, I love that you call him Hugo Weaver.
What is
But
his name? What is his name?
Weaving.
Oh, Weaving. Oh,
Weaving.
Weaver. I guess I'm just.
But
going.
no, it's funny. It's funny that you're calling him Weaver. But no, I just want to correct the record on that one. In case anybody wants to come in and be like, oh, Tom doesn't know what he's talking about. He's calling people different names.
Right.
Tom doesn't really care that much about the actors' names at this point. Like he has other names on the mind and other dates and stuff. Right. So it's gonna happen.
Well, I'm sorry, but I apologize. Let's go to that page and think of that character, Hugo Weaving. Thank you for pointing out to me too, because I keep saying it wrong.
Yeah, there's no worries.
Let's look at the description he read when he came up with his character. Now, how does this character act? It's kind of unique, isn't it? Iconic, isn't it? His character, right?
Absolutely.
Agent Smith. And what would you describe his character's personification as? I mean, I'm not asking you to match it to me. I'm just saying, really honestly, what do you see in his portrayal? It's kind of a slow, deep,
articulate, and also curious, because they were adding layers of humanity to the character for a while.
Right. So let's take a look at what he actually saw as the description, as the people are now coming forward and say, yeah, it's used on set, including the fight choreographer. So this is used on set. It's being proven by the people that were there. So let's see what Hugo read when he's on set for the first time, when he has to decide how to develop his character. And here comes the development of the on page 20, he gets to see. And this is very important. When we did Shakespeare tours and things, we were told, look at what Shakespeare says for the description of character for your first interpretation choice. It's there for you written out. So let's see what Hugo reads. A door opens as a group of preoccupied and serious looking men and women in business suits exit a briefing room. Now you cap the first time you see the character in the description. Kurt Berenger, a stern looking man in his upper 50s, is among them. He is meticulously groomed and moves with a calculated grace. So there we have the first description.
Yeah, calculated.
Reads. Yeah, calculated, and it says earlier, robot-like. So you put robot-like with meticulously groomed, moving with a calculated grace, and now go into Hugo's mind, where he has to develop something the Wachowskis will accept. Wachowskis like it simplified, so they like a good laugh. So now, if you play Hugo Weaving talking as Smith, and you realize robot-like, meticulously groomed, moving with a calculated grace, and operating with a calculated grace, you start to get a robot-like calculated grace speech pattern and presentation. And if I was to follow that description and it was going off of solely that, with the Wachowskis having no idea what it meant or what the original author meant, as they said on set, they had no idea and just mocked the work, I'd probably end up with something like, I've come to see who you are and discuss matters with you. Sure. It fits, doesn't it? It fits. I think these are the things that'll be interesting to people that you'll never get from the Wachowskis. You'll never hear from the studios. But the original author has been clued in by those that are fans of the work, and that is the producers, performers themselves, and the fight choreographers and others inside Hollywood who are
I want to challenge anybody watching or listening now, and in the future if you're watching later, of course, go try to find any videos or audio interviews with the Wachowskis of them talking about their passion project of The Matrix and the details. They don't talk details like Tom does. In fact, there's nothing at all from what I've tried to research. You can't find any source material. It's very it's mysterious. Their whole persona is mysterious, and now they're hiding behind even other, like, multiple personas at this point.
Exactly. I appreciate you saying that too, because now we're showing the full picture, full pages, where they're saying you never show the pictures. Well, we are. And
the Chicago Film Society, the institute I showed you of Andy, the bald brother that's now wearing a wig and a dress, and he's sitting on stage like 2 months ago in Chicago doing a Q&A. And instead of, like, you'd think they'd be talking about the Matrix, right?
Right.
Instead, they're just rambling on about these different things, like, oh, I feel like they're being very what's the word for it, like pompous. uh they're It's like they're so full of themselves, they're just talking
Yes.
about themselves and they're not talking about their work.
Yes, the ego definitely kicks in. You see the ego take the place, and that's what always happens. They become very egotistical. These different parties that get the works, rather than talk about content, they fluff it up and fill in the missing with ego.
For example, I would love to hear stories about Andy and Larry on set before shooting a particular scene and talking with actors,
Yes.
and maybe something that the actors said back to them,
Yeah,
but they don't share any of that stuff.
You'll see clips where they're mocking the work on set. Like there's one clip where they go, they call him over because Morpheus, the Morpheus character, got injured or something on set. They call him over, and you see them come over like this, like what, what? They weren't even watching the shot been done. They weren't even watching it. They don't care about the film. They're mocking it on set, and they're coming over like they've just caught joking around rather than actually doing the set work.
Yeah.
So yeah. So one thing I'd like to go with you too is the train station scene again.
Absolutely.
Possible. Keep in mind too, as we're doing this, I think you know that if they don't use up the story, remember Joel Silver said when we use up the rest of the story, if they don't do it in the Matrix, then they have Animatrix to use the different images they lifted and use them up there. We have examples of that for another program.
So real quick, because I just saw another comment. They asked any thoughts about the title. The root of the word matrix is mother, as in maternal, so it seems like another example of the inversion of divine feminine energy. If, for example, Isis.
Very interesting. Yes, because
That's coming from Paul, by the way.
Well, here you go. There's so many layers to this. Let me just hit a couple before as I can track it.
Oh yeah, I can tell it's a loaded question for you.
Yeah, so I mean, great question. Keep in mind Nazi Germany, which is very much the Hollywood industry. The Zionists actually wanted the European Jews exterminated so they could have the power as outside Jewish segment. It was not a cohesive group. So Hollywood Jews, Jewish moguls, did not care about European Jews. They consider them a lower level of life, is what I'm being told by the Hollywood industry. And so they didn't mind them being taken out more for them. And what happens is you've got this thing where in World War II Germany, the Zionists actually took the power of the Nazi regime, harnessed it for themselves. Isn't that wild? They allowed this to go on, the exterminations of what's lesser Jews in their mind. That's mind-boggling. Many of them were in process of allowing it to happen and benefiting off it. All right. So what you have then is, they even did that in Free France. Free France sanctioned the hauling off and extermination of Jewish people, the Vichy France. But you have Nazi Germany with Himmler and the rest of them doing this whole thing of bringing back the cult of Odin and the goddesses, right? And so this whole thing with Matrix fits the Nazis' goal of the spiritualism they were bringing back, which is now embedded in Hollywood. In fact, I've learned from the inside that the Azura pole, the Azura is the main deity that functions in Hollywood, according to them. And she's the one that was a cohort to all the male deities, see? So it is a goddess-run industry of the Azura pole, a fertility cult, with a curved pole. Now you're going to see this curved pole, such a great question. The curved pole in every kind of cartoon with the kids. You see the staff with a curve on it.
Yeah.
That's the Azura pole. That's the Azura pole. Isn't that something? So then you figure too that the Matrix title isn't any of the 347 titles at the Copyright Office under De Laurentiis, who wanted to dine the Wachowskis, went on Assassins with them, on the Copyright Office with Assassins. Not any of them has Matrix. It's like Army of Darkness, Hitler, all that stuff. It has everything that could be used to create slots the Copyright Office, as we said, to insert the stolen work and use up the rest of the story and take their takes on it. Okay, which I intended the humanity to do, and I will intend again once the copyright is released to everybody. So anyway, that'll restore in the right way. But at the Copyright Office, you got De Laurentiis copyright the immortal title, all these subtitles. The Wachowskis were supposed to pick one of those subtitles to create the slot. They didn't. And when they don't, in 96, De Laurentiis heads for the hills. He takes his name off the Immortals copyright. Get that? He takes his name off the Immortals copyright in 1996 because the Wachowskis didn't pick one of the titles, one of the subtitles, when they created the slots.
So inadvertently, the Wachowskis messed up the overall plan of Warner Brothers and the people involved there by choosing the word or title The Matrix instead of the 340 odd ones that were already submitted to the Copyright Office. It threw all their plans off. But do you think they kind of did that in a stumbling way? They didn't know what they were doing, and they wanted to use the one name.
Wachowskis were angry at Warner Brothers for bringing another writer in to do Assassins. Assassins was the piece that De Laurentiis himself brought another writer in to finish. That pissed the Wachowskis off. So Joe Silver was trying to still court them rather than Tom Hanks and Wendy Wasserstein as the main claimants. Remember, the entries of the Copyright Office say Tom Hanks commissioned to write The Immortals. Wendy Wasserstein commissioned to write The Immortals. Wachowski was not the first pick, they're the last pick. But Joel Silver's advocating for them to be the writers. Bonaventure has a penchant of saving the careers of writers. Stay with me now, audiences. So what you have is the entries, the names, since the Wachowskis are so pissed off, that's when Joel Silver gives them, after they went to Writers Guild West to get out their names off the project of Assassins and everything else they wouldn't allow. So Joel Silver throws them a bone. Joel Silver gives them, what do they call it in the article? The Science Project. Who submitted the Science Project? Who submitted the Immortals? Teresa Wayne from the story department of Warner Bros. Says only Joel Silver submitted it in 1994, and gives it to the Wachowskis in 1995-96. After they do an audition piece, Joel Silver calls it, bound to convince the the suits that Wachowskis can at least direct. An article in 1995 says from the Wachowskis, we have to pack our bags and leave. We failed as writers unless we're given a project to direct. And they say, we're hoping to be given the Science Project. They didn't say Matrix.
And as far as I understand, their audition piece called Bound has Freemasonic imagery in it, which I've been documenting for a while, and we've talked off screen about that. But as you're saying, the suits needing to approve the Wachowskis to take on the project, that might be a good explanation for why they have Freemasonic imagery in the work itself.
Thank you very much. Yes,
it's kind of like a calling card. It's like, oh yeah, we could use this guy. They understand where we're coming from, or something like that.
That's right. And the name Violet, my grandmother's name, becomes the lead character Larry likes in Bound. Isn't that something? So let me just see if I can find this one thing. Boy, I have such a wealth of material. So great. Once we actually do get the documentary done and legitimacy, where we actually get a day in, whether we need the day in court, but people will understand exactly what's going on. I'm going to share screen one more time. I want to show you this real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, look at these entries. I want people to get this. So here is what? De Laurentiis, Paradise Films, Wachowskis on Assassins. Date, 1993.
And this is their debut script that they're putting out there, the Wachowskis?
Yes, that's their debut.
Okay.
Not Plastic Man or Carnivore. Nobody wants it. So
and it says parties are also Paradise Films and Dino De Laurentiis.
November 3rd. Now, I submitted in June 25th, 1993. We have that on the Boyd letter, right? We showed that. Here's November 3rd, 1993. Way after I submitted, what they're trying to do is give the Wachowskis the leg in so they can take the work. So they give them Assassins to do. They fail. Another writer had to be brought in. They're noted for taking out the human element, the sympathetic sympathetic character, and also the love story, as far as putting in too much violence. See? So exactly what they did with my piece when they're given it. So go to the next entry. Copyright Office. Now, what's the date on this one? So this is what? This is, 95. Okay, so we had 93, right?
Yeah.
It says date of execution as of October 93, October 22nd, 93. Interesting. I never caught that before. Okay.
You have an October? Oh,
I didn't catch that.
Date of execution. Okay.
That's important because they did a big argument and they changed their testimony when they created the work.
What's the difference between the data recordization and execution.
They're trying to claim that that goes into effect, that the copyright would be in effect on earlier than when they record it. So they're saying that
Got it, okay.
earlier than that. And so what this lines up with is the wedding. See, they tried to say that the Matrix work was done after the wedding. Oh no, before the wedding. Is it before the wedding, after the wedding? They don't want Thea Bloom. When Larry gets a divorce with Thea Bloom, his wife, she's a crook too, and trying to claim the money off my work, along with Larry, and they're battling over who's going to get the most money off my work. And so that's during their divorce. And Larry keeps changing the date of when it was actually first conceived and given. So what's interesting is Thea Bloom in her testimony in The Smoking Gun says that they were given it in 95, 96. Now keep in mind this right here. 1995 entry, Paradise Films, De Laurentiis Productions, and a investment firm, one of the biggest in the world, is on the Immortals title with subtitles. Well, that's no subtitles on the Assassins. We've got 343, you add the Army of Darkness, on the Immortals.
So I want to mention about Army of Darkness, the title and a movie that was made. So Sam Raimi, he directed the Evil Dead series, and the third film in that series is called Army of Darkness, but it was released in '92. So I don't know why there's another Army of Darkness on here, on what you're showing, but it is under.
It's a great point.
It's undercase. It's not uppercase.
It's to
lowercase.
Create slots at the Copyright Office. It's to create slots. So what you just raised is so important. They could claim that my work was taken off the Army of Darkness, and we had the Army of Darkness first. And so they're trying to find different sources of materials, right? So
yeah, if one excuse or explanation doesn't work, then they can go with a different one.
Right, stack them in there.
Yeah,
and the
stacking.
Army of Darkness, Spielberg uses for Hitler's army. He calls it the Army of Darkness, I think.
Oh,
they're matching that too. So these are titles.
Yeah, this one is more of like Army of the Dead type of thing.
Right. So this one, they're making it more like Hitler's army. And so it's like that you can take the Immortals and sign it to any other studio that has a like of the work, and they can take one of these slots. Well, the Wachowskis are supposed to take one of these, and they don't. Now, this is when De Laurentiis is heading for the hills, because I appear in Hollywood and resubmit my script to Warner Brothers, Diane Bell's, the Warner Brothers. And so what you have here is, look at this. Same, one title missing. Now we're down to, well, no, three, no, same titles. Immortals. 1996 July, when I resubmit, they put it under just investment firms. All the major investment firms. As if
so that looks like it took even longer for that second one to go through.
Yeah, but
because it's
yeah. But what I want to point out, well, go ahead and make your point. I'll point out what I'm doing.
Okay, so the 95 one, it's about a month. February 7th to March 3rd of 95. And then 96, it was in December of 95.
That's what they're going to claim. They want to step past me. And before they give it to the Wachowskis, they want to establish this. Because Wachowskis haven't been picked yet. At this time, they haven't been picked yet. So it's like,
so why are they putting out multiple ones like this? Because I don't understand it.
It's a cover trail. Look who's missing. Since I came to Hollywood and resubmitted in July 1996, I resubmitted my script. I was with Ellen Gear at Will Gear.
Oh, right? De Laurentiis is gone. Starling Productions.
That's when he takes his name off. He takes his name off at this date when I'm submitting. So as soon as I submit, he takes his name and companies off of it and just leaves it in more investment firms, as if investment firms created intellectual property. And the investment firms then, as explained to me, can then hand out the Immortals, any derivative that a studio wants to do from the stolen work they're holding. They can then do their work and take one of these subtitles and resubmit. And they take the work thinking that they're safe to steal it because the investment firms claim they created it. The investment firms creating screenplays? Well, there's a racket. And then the investment firms are free to submit it to be stolen to any company because they make a profit doubly hand over fist by claiming they're the authors. See what I'm saying? So that's what's so wild about this copyright trail, is that De Laurentiis disappears with his companies right when I resubmit in 1996. And when the Wachowskis are given the work, they're supposed to pick one of these subtitles. They don't, because they're mad about Assassins. And not only are they angry about Assassins and don't take one of the titles, they insert all my information into the first graphic. to slap the face of those that dared, because they're egos, dared to give it to another writer to finish. So there you go. That's why they had to be women. My fiance's birthday at the time, Otika Ball, March 11th. My birthday, as it was in records at the time, July 22nd, corrected in 2003. My dad's name, John. My high school, Center West High, switched to junior high because they want Owen Patterson, the production manager, to get the joke of being his high school named after him. Michelle McGahee, the art director, as Neo's mom. And all this on here, including in the graphic on the side, you'll see TA 4090. I was in 99. I was 40 in 99. And then 380 in numerology. You talked about the mystical stuff going on with the cult stuff. 380 in numerology, which Wachowskis claim they're part of numerology, but don't understand it. They're too lazy to actually look at it, but they want to claim it to be cool. So in 380 is in numerology where someone takes your most cherished worldly possessions to help you prepare for your death, a ceremony thing to sacrifice the lamb. So the joke was, that was relayed to me from in-house when the person told me all that stuff being here, so for a split second, was that the Wachowskis were doing me a favor by taking my most worldly cherished possessions because I was going to die. And here's the clock face again in Animatrix, where they use up the rest of the story. There's my
So
license.
just to clarify, you had a misprint on your driver's license for your birth date as the 22nd of July, but your real birthday, and which I think has been fixed by now, is July 2nd, not
my
the
license.
22nd.
Right here's my license. See it? July 2nd, 59.
Yep.
There's my license. That's the correct one. In 1996, what happened was I still had my driver's license, but all official records were showing July 22nd. My records were being erased and altered before the release of The Matrix. See? So that's why USAA Insurance said there's a 1996 entry where your birthday is listed as July 22nd. They're the ones that discovered it. The military insurance company. Isn't that something? And then you've got, there's my high school diploma, there's my license, there's on the clock, 7/2/59 exactly. 44, redhead on the 4, 44. I was 44 in 2003. This, I was 40 in 1999. And there you got it. Michelle McGahee, Owen Patterson, there he is. High school birthday, my fiance's birthday, everything. Told to me by the insiders of the Copyright Office. And there's the guys that stole it right there. As if anybody believed they wrote anything. Plastic Men and Carnivore, not done. In fact, at the Humanitarian Awards, they came forward, Larry came forward with his remake as a woman, looking like a woman. And they just announced, you know, we have the author, like the deep voice saying, I may have said this before, deep voice saying like, and now the creators of Matrix, Cloud Atlas, Speed Racer, and this kind of stuff. It will come forward, Larry Wachowski. And all the applause. He comes up. The first thing Larry says, this little face right here, leans over and goes, how come nobody ever talks about Bound?
Yeah.
Illustrating the point you just said, where they don't care about Matrix. They hate Matrix. They mocked it on set. The man who told me about these entries being in there that I would never would have seen, split second, turning page, I would never would have seen these entries. I would never would have recognized they were there. And I'm the only one that would recognize them. Now we can tell when you see my license and diploma and everything, right? And it can't be argued it's Photoshop. So you've got this thing where now it's all coming out. It's all coming out. So that's why they had to be women, is because they did this. They were so egotistical and so angry and so nasty, you know. And you watch the Bound interview where they talk and you see how this is. The egos fly in there and they're just rambling and raging. What happens is, that's why they stuck the entries in the Matrix. That's why they stuck the entries in the Animatrix. That's why they stuck the name across the screen, Tom Althouse backwards, in the Animatrix also, because they were so angry at Warner Brothers. Now, Joel Silver made him get the position over Tom Hanks and Wendy Wasserstein, right? Again, the copyright entry saying, no body of work, just the subtitles you saw, Immortals, Army of Darkness, other titles, Tom Hanks commissioned by Warner Brothers to write the Matrix. Yes, people could say, well, he's not a writer. He's not. But it would appeal to audiences that this actor got the writing bug and wrote this amazing piece called The Immortals.
I have a share screen for us.
Go ahead. I mean, you think that makes sense for audiences?
I think it does. Yeah, I really think.
I mean,
it
we're
does.
laying it out. We're laying it out thick. I know, but that's what's going on. When there's so many layers to it that they don't think people are ever going to pay attention. They want audiences to go, it's too much. Why would they do that? It's too much. No, critical thinking. Thank God for people that are smart because they're going to see all the evidence.
All right. So, whew, I brought up this. I was trying to look up
Oh, it says
Larry
Jewish.
Wachowski's
You never said
birthday.
that.
So, this website it just pulled it up for me here. But
They did give it to a Jewish writer.
yeah, ain't that something? I
Isn't
didn't
that
realize that.
something? So Joel Silver, Jewish, gives it to a Jewish writer to steal. How about that?
But there's multiple things that are listed here. Firstly, that he's dating Karen Winslow. So he's dressing as a woman and dating a woman.
Who's his dominatrix?
Yeah,
His dominatrix.
that's that same one. Okay, okay.
She said she would never date a client, but since Larry wrote a Matrix, she would date him and then ends up marrying him. So Larry's whole life is based on a lie.
And out of all of the money that the Matrix franchise has made, he's left with 125 million.
Wow.
Whew. I guess that's better than nothing, right?
I'd like
For
to see
stealing.
with the hard work it was to write that piece, I'd like to see my son have that. And it's like he said too that he wrote the Matrix in 3 days. There's an article where he said he wrote it in 3 days.
Look at this.
Straight.
In
It's
2023, it says listing his sexuality as straight.
Yeah.
There's something.
He was hitting on women during the functions. One woman I know, who's a dear friend of mine.
Thea
hit
Bloom
on
is
her
on
back.
here too.
Yep.
Yeah.
So straight. It's all show.
They're not trans. To my audience, the
They're still guys.
Wachowskis are men pretending to be women and dating women.
Such a great find. Can you send me a copy of this later? Send me a
Yeah.
copy. This is such a good find.
I'll
Steve.
send this in the
Beautiful
chat
copy.
here.
Beautiful copy.
But ain't that something?
There you go. Straight right there. It's all a lie. It's all a lie.
Family.
Friends, Tom Hanks. Oh my God.
Tadley. So I don't know what this is, but it's
That's
it's
but
pretty
that's why
comprehensive.
Tom Hanks commissioned to write The Matrix.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks to be my mentor.
How is it only him is
96,
listed as friend?
1996. That's Ellinger told me Tom Hanks would be my mentor in Hollywood in 1996. Oh my God.
So it all kind of makes sense now, huh? Or at least part of this. I'm surprised that they're listing his sexuality as straight.
Of course.
And he's been presenting outwardly as a cross-dresser in so many words.
He was promised by Dina Loretta's starlets, fortune, fame, and starlets. So yeah.
I think this is a dating, it says net worth and dating profiles. So of course they list hair color red. Yeah, because he's dyeing his hair red and has dreadlocks.
So he wants to date. He wants to date. He wants to date.
The distinct feature is hair, which I think is funny.
This is an incredible find.
Skin type, oily, acne. All right, whatever.
This brings it all together. This brings it all together. What a find.
It gives their height.
Alternative clothing styles.
Yeah.
So he's saying that he's going to dress like a lady.
My favorite color's black because I'm cyberpunk.
So deep.
Sorry, I don't mean to mock people, but I'm just imitating the way they're talking.
No, I need a copy of this. This is too important. With Tom Hanks as his friend, his sole friend list.
All right, I'm going to stop the screen share temporarily.
I need a copy of this.
I'm going to send it into chat here. I'm going to actually also send it to the chat.
The place this can go before it's erased, the better, because they may erase this one and alter it. They're going to alter this one later. So we need this one provenly caught and protect this interview because we need to prove that this was there. Tom Hanks.
That's actually, this is a big deal. We didn't even plan to talk about this today. That's why I said it's going to take a while for us to get through all of the matchups from your script to what they've plagiarized. But in the meantime, we're finding this type of stuff.
Huge.
You'd think they'd scrub that away and tell them, like, you need to say that you're interested in men and women. Like, at least put down that they're bi or something. But they're saying he's straight.
Yes, he hits on women in the men's room or in the women's room. He hits on them. That's Felina Barris makes jewelry for the stars and does all these red carpet walks. And she said that he hit on her in the bathroom. So yeah.
I have to do screenshots of all this because it's not even letting me do a PDF.
Please do a screenshot. Yes. Yes.
It's going to be multiple, but that's how this rolls.
It's too important. So this is incredible. And watch for this to be cleansed, just like you said, the green, red eyes turning green in the redo.
Yeah, the machine eyes turning red, and then or they were red and they turned green. Yeah.
After all the statements they've done about being trans and all this stuff, and now we see no, they're straight.
And that was just me trying to look up his birthday.
It goes with Andy too. It goes with Andy. Andy may have a date site on there after you get them all copied.
Yeah, we're gonna look at Andy's profile.
Yeah, because
next.
Andy, when he was asked, you must be happy now, or told, must be happy now. No, not really, not really. It's just, God, he doesn't try to look good. He's just, I'm doing this because I'm told. They broke the rules. They put the original author's information totally in the first graphic that we just illustrated totally, and it's like they have to be punished. In the cabal, there's always a cost for revealing the cabal and revealing their plans. And they couldn't have broadcast it more by putting it in the first graphic of the Matrix and then in Animatrix too. So yeah, there's so much to cover. Oh my God.
This is
after you get this copy, we should probably wrap it up for today and go again soon. Go again soon, because we'll go over scenes we could release to people and things like that. And I want people to see the original scene from the Matrix, like the first, how fast that page turns and the information's there. And that's the first scene they shot. And hear the ambience in the room and how the actors have no direction or no lines. In that first scene, when they reveal the information, it's all to reveal the information of the original author. So I would love to cover that.
You shared a very pivotal piece of your script today, which is it's really what Link, the ship operator.
Yes.
And
yes.
So we went into detail of that earlier tonight.
And we're discovering as our audience is discovering. We're discovering with you who are watching. We're discovering as we go too. So you are the first ones on the planet to know this stuff. And thank God you're there. So thank God you're there watching. And they say, even like I said in Game of Thrones, even if just 3, 4, 10 know, they consider it story out. It's never going to stop. The ripple will form a wave and never stop. So thank God we got the evidence to show still intact and making discoveries all together. So yeah, and I think it's just fascinating about the whole thing where those scenes we showed so far are identical matchups, and now we know why they couldn't tweak that one, because that guy had the power, that actor. Yeah,
and also, like I mentioned before, but I'm going to say it again. Tom has shared with me his matchups to his script, and there's over 100 pages. So we're not going to get to everything all at once. This is as much as I want to get this all out there, it's going to take time because some people do need to digest it, but we need to also organize it too.
And
this is within a few days of receiving all of this new information.
It's going to be a gold rush. It's going to be a gold rush, and it's going to be fun I'm so glad audience members get to, people get to see this happening, what's going on. You're going to get quite an education. You'll be the only ones that really know right from the get-go. And that inverse ratio rule, where it said, the more you show direct access, well, we have James Boyd's tracking number, receipt, letters, what was inserted, right to 4000 Warner Brother Lane in June 25th, 1993. And that's pretty direct. You can't get more direct than that, right? With Elizabeth, one of his friend. And then you've got these matchups we've been showing in detail and in layers. Not just the cat jumped over the moon, but the cat jumped over the moon in purple dress with polka dots, eating a spoonful of sugar while it's dancing a jig and wearing a Hitler mustache. It's like you can't get more than this. Like your thing that was used, Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. So that shows that yes, if Rankin, the attorney that was bought in the pocket and said they were just give him everything they want to be done with it, if he had actually allowed the ejections to be filed on an MSJ, we would have won our case. We would have had our court case won, according to the courts themselves. So I think that's a good way to wrap it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I just want to say we kind of came across this Tattler website with Larry Wachowski, and it's listing all the stuff that we've assumed, and I'm gonna look up Andy Wachowski too.
I'm going to make a prediction too.
Oh, not on there. He's not on there.
Of course. Well, here's a prediction. Watch for certain heads now to jump ship that were in the stealing process companies and head to other platforms where they'll still make a lot of money.
Yeah, keep an eye out.
Jump ship.
Yeah, just for
Jump ship.
these people, they're going
And-
to be switching companies basically.
And some may leave this plane of existence because of what they did. Now, Andy and Larry are so guilty of blowing the cabal's cover. There are those within the cabal, I am told, that want to end the job with them and stop this circus where they've leaked so much and flagrantly, so badly, just like Sophia Stewart. So keep eyes on Sophia Stewart and the Wachowskis and see if something happens over the next small period. Because right now they're dead fish to the industry right now. They've so used it up as much as they could with them. And Sophia Stewart doesn't have any import anymore because they made Matrix 4. Like I said, they made Matrix 4. She's claiming the trademark and everything. Why is she on Matrix 4? She's used up. She has no face left except people murmuring still, well, she wrote it. She won her case. No, not at all. I have the 2005 summary judgment against her. I'll show next time too.
Excellent.
But,
Yeah, so we have a lot to look forward to for the next one. And like I said, just from having only a few days to get into the script. Now you've been doing this for over like a month with us prepping for all this.
Right.
But I think we'll have a more refined presentation for the next part that we're going to do.
Images matching the pages. Yes, we'll be able to do that.
We spent the first hour here struggling to go live because there was something with Zoom and YouTube. So we lost an hour here today, and that did throw us off a bit, but not too much because we still got into what we wanted to.
I'd love you doing the shorts of the matchups too, and also the shorts of your discovery on Larry Wachowski being straight. I'd love to see a short on that one also.
Oh yeah, well, it's going to be going up.
Well done. Well done. All right, I know it's work, but you're doing great. All
Yeah,
right,
thank you, Tom, for being here and sharing all this with us. I mean, it's needed.
Can you attach the visual? Yeah, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on. And if you can attach the visual to that find you did with the Larry website.
Yeah, so I'll send you an email with the link to that site, and then I will also attach my screenshots that I took of it in case the site goes down.
Well, thank you.
So then you have all that.
Thanks for having me on, definitely. And it's like being in the room of a few good men when they're making all the discoveries about Watergate. It's like that's what audiences are getting experience right now. This is what happens. You see the adrenaline kick in. It's like, oh my God, Tom Hanks, best friend of Larry Wachowski, who was supposed to be my handler in 1996 when De Laurentiis takes his name off work when I'm resubmitting to Warner Brothers. Please, I think they're friends over this work. So Tom Hanks is definitely a baddie in all.
Yeah.
Thank
you. If people don't believe that, look up Isaiah Cappy.
Yeah.
And what he said about him after he passed away.
Well, thanks for this again, Stephen. Thank you so much. And thanks for those that are there.
It's my pleasure, Tom. And until the next one.
You got it.
Class dismissed.